theme for the first two is similar, but we will also see today a transition from the theme of Karma Kand to that of Karma Yoga. We will see what is the difference between Karma Kand and Karma Yoga. Well, to tell it loosely, Karma Kand is the activities done for the sake of one's own gratification. Well, it also entails sacrificing some part of it, but on the whole, it is for oneself that one is doing something. But in Karma Yoga, the benefactor of the fruits of the activities is not one's own self, which means we are not going to do it for ourselves. We are not concerned with the fruits of the activities. That is when karma becomes Karma Yoga. Now, we will come to that part. However, first let's say the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Coming back to the theme for the day. Well, we are going to start with shloka number 37. We left it at 36 last time. Hato va prapsyasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmad uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krit nishchaya. Well, that is some motivational speech. Listen to this once again. Tasmad uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krit nishchaya. Isn't that very speaking? O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Well, this is the shloka number 37. In fact, I think we have to do 36 also today. So let's take up 36 also, then we will discuss both of them together, because 36 and 37 have a common theme. These two verses are bringing one type of argument to a close. What is the type of argument? The Karma Kand argument. In the previous few verses, that is 31 to 37, Krishna has been telling Arjun that even if you care for your enjoyment, even if you're still identifying with your body and still don't have that feeling that I am not the body but the soul, even if you're on that platform, then also to enjoy these bodily pleasures, you must do your duty as a Kshatriya and fight. So, shloka number 36. Avachivadamscha bahun vadishyanti tavathitaha nandan satav samarthyam tato dukkhataram nunikim. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you, Arjun? Now, here Srila Prabhupada brings up that one point that he brought up in earlier purports, I think 2.7, purport to 2.7, Aryan. Now, Srila Prabhupada had defined the term Aryan as a civilization or a person who knows what is the real purpose of life. One who knows that he is not this body but the soul. One who has the knowledge, the Gyan. One who can think beyond this bodily platform. Although the term Aryan has been used these days in various connotations, also, concerned somewhat with Hitler's Holocaust. But actually, the term Aryan means this, as Srila Prabhupada has described. So, anybody who knows who he really is a Aryan. Now, Srila Prabhupada is going to tell us that for an Aryan, real compassion is not caring for the body, is not compassion for somebody's body only. It is compassion for the soul. And what is the real benefit for the soul? To understand that it is the soul, stop identifying with the body and do the activities that will make it free from this bondage of the body, of the material life. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying that Lord Krishna was astonished. Actually, Lord Krishna is playing a perfect role of somebody, of a friend who is very surprised at how his otherwise very sensible, very Aryan friend Arjun would have done. Krishna is thinking Arjun wouldn't have done this way. So Arjun is not really behaving like himself, and that's why he was surprised. Now what does that indicate? That indicates that Arjun really is a person who is an Aryan, who knows what the real purpose of life is. But of course, the situation has been created by Krishna in such a way that this has come to pass. But Krishna is expressing his surprise at that kind of response from Arjun. And Srila Prabhupada says that he is trying to convince Arjun that whatever your arguments, nothing is actually making you believe, nothing can actually make you believe that you are not to fight. Whichever way you see it, whether you see it from the standpoint of the body or from the standpoint of the soul, the conclusion is the same. You see, and Srila Prabhupada is also, kind of indicating here that if you don't fight, if you don't do your duty, or say because of one reason or the other, suppose we do not, or we stop from doing our duty and we think people are going to say that look what a nice and a compassionate and a magnanimous person this is, because he is not fighting because he cares for the other people. Actually, whenever we stop from doing our duties, mostly people do not care to look beyond the action towards our intention. People do not see our intentions, they see our actions only. And that's why doing our duty in all circumstances is very, very important. Otherwise, people are going to talk, and then we know what's the grapevine is like. People talk and talk, they make a big, mountain out of a molehill. You see? And in the next verse, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that even though there was no certainty of victory for Arjun's side, still he had to fight. And in this verse, in 37, Krishna is giving Arjun the final verdict that Arjun, you have to fight. Now Arjun has been telling till here that if I win and the other side loses, then what happens? Then they die. Who am I going to enjoy with? And if I die, then of course I die. How do I enjoy? Now Krishna is actually reversed the table. Absolutely. He says, if you win and they die, they will go to heavenly planets and you will enjoy this kingdom. If you die, you will go to heavenly planets. What's there to lose? This is a win-win situation for you. So you see, Krishna in the verses number 31 to 37 has tried to convince Arjun that from a bodily standpoint, even if you are still at a lower platform of thinking that you are a body, even if you think from that point of view, not fighting is not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to get you a lot of insult, a lot of infamy. And we know that dishonor and infamy are worse than death to any Kshatriya. Now, verse number 38 is a transition from Karma Yoga from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. You see, what happens is when a little child is being impelled, coaxed by his mother to go to school, the arguments like, okay, you go to school today and when you come back, I will buy you a chocolate. Or when you come back, we will go to the zoo today, So the parents give, attractions, some kind of incentives to the child, some kind of, let us say, incentives which are pleasurable to the child's senses as an incentive to do some duty. Like, for example, go to school. Do your homework, I'll give you a chocolate. Go to school. If you go to school today, if you don't cry while going to school, I will buy you this, I will buy you that, So that's the kind of incentive you give to a small child to start doing his duty properly. But as the child grows up, the incentive changes. Have you noticed that? For a grown-up child, always saying, I'll buy you a chocolate doesn't work. A child needs some better incentive. For instance, if you do well on your test, your teacher is going to clap for you. The whole class is going to clap for you, So later on, then of course the incentives can be like, if you stand first in your class, your whole class will clap for you, and people will think highly about you. So you see, all these incentives are now moving one step higher. Now when the child grows still further, becomes sensible, then you start using very high up moralistic incentives. Go to college, go to your work, because you have to do your duties well. If we don't do our duties, we are not worthy of being called humans. So this actually is where Krishna is taking Arjun also, because when we are talking about the yoga ladder, we will see that incentives for doing a particular task will change. The task will remain the same. The activity remains same. For example, in this case, the activity is, or the karma is to fight. Karma for Arjun is to fight. That instruction will remain the same. Starting of the Bhagavad Gita to end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is going to tell Arjun to fight. That act is not going to change. But Krishna is going to tell Arjun that you have various kinds of motivations to do that karma. So, in initial verses 11 to 30, Krishna gave Arjun the jnana about himself, that you are the soul. If you think about yourself from the point of view of the soul, then you must do your duty. Now, in 31 to 37, Krishna has given the motivation of karma. That is duties. You have a conditional duty, you have a spiritual duty. So if you are thinking on the platform of the body, you have a conditional duty to do, which means you are in the body of a kshatriya, so you must do the duty of a kshatriya, otherwise you will fall down. You will not enjoy also, So that is the motivation. Now, from here onwards, Krishna has combined jnana as well as karma to, I would say, introduce Arjun to the concept of Nishkam Karma Yoga. So karma becomes Nishkam Karma Yoga when our motivation to do that task changes from our own enjoyment to doing our duty well. That is one. Or the second motivation could be doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. Doing it because Krishna wants us to do it that way. So a Nishkam Karma Yogi is doing the same tasks but is not concerned with the fruits of the action. Now, a Nishkam Karma Yogi may, of course, he is doing the fruits of that action. Who knows that Krishna. So if I'm doing more superior position, that's a high. How the consciousness, it changes the game. So in verse number 38, we are, Krishna is opening the door. Naivam papam of fighting with stress, loss or gain victory, and by doing so, you shall win. Now, do you Arjun had given so many arguments to Krishna for not fighting, full reactions, beginning to actually work for the you will not get any. Also, Krishna indirectly yoga. Now, what does that mean? Spite of duality, whatever you get, you may get profit out of it, or you may get into it. No matter, duty is duty. And Krishna is saying, fight for the sake of fight. But slowly, as giving also a hint, but also more important, fight for more. Because one who becomes a devotee of no dharma higher than Krishna's will. Dharmam tu sakshad bhagavat. Krishna's will, Krishna is the highest dharma, because Krishna, he is the one who defines dharma. Sake of fighting to fighting for the sake of Krishna is what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Now, in this verse, Srila Prabhupada, wonderful purport where he is saying, so there is, when somebody is performing all his actions for the sake of Krishna, then he is in transcendental consciousness. He's managed to escape this material consciousness level to transcendental consciousness, and at that time there is no reaction to material activities. Otherwise, any small action that we are doing, even as we are taking breaths, we are doing karma. Even when we are breathing, we are killing so many microorganisms which are going inside our respiratory system. We have our respiratory system made up of, so many cilia and, mucus inside, that whenever the air goes inside and whatever germs are present there are killed by our, respiratory system. So even as we are breathing, doing nothing else, just breathing, we are doing karma. We are killing someone. And we will get reaction for that. You see? So even the simplest action will get us karma. We will have to pay for it. Something like if you're striking a ball to a wall. Suppose we strike a ball at the wall is going to bounce it back to us. So whatever action we are doing are going to come back to us sooner or later. Sometimes we have instant karma reaction. Sometimes we have delayed karma reaction. But it will eventually come back. Maybe in this life, maybe in future lives. So you see, working for Krishna, Nishkam Karma Yoga, working detached from foods, is like throwing an iron ball at a magnetic wall. We throw the ball, but it gets stuck there. Nothing comes back. No reaction to us. And that's what we want, because unless we clear the entire backlog of karma, we cannot escape the clutches of this material world. We cannot escape the clutches of Maya. And devotional service to Krishna, doing all our activities in Krishna consciousness is the key to get out from here, to escape. It gives us the escape velocity to, migrate away from this material world back into the spiritual world, which is our original place. And a very beautiful verse has been quoted by Srila Prabhupada from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Devarshi bhutaptan rinam pitranam naking karunayam ridicha rajan sarvatmanayah sharanam sharanyam gato mukandam parihritya kartam. beautiful verse which says, somebody who has completely surrendered to Mukunda. Who is Mukunda? Mukunda is another name for Krishna. And this name means that Krishna is the only person who can give us liberation from this material world. Moksha can only be given to us by Krishna. That's why his name is Mukunda. So this verse translates clearly that somebody who has completely surrendered unto Krishna or Mukund, giving up all other duties, is no longer a debtor. He is not obliged to anyone. Remember, we talked about the 5 kinds of rinas or debts every human had: the Rishi rin, the Pitra rin, the Bhuta rin, and so on. So here it's very clear that somebody who has completely surrendered to Krishna has no other debts to pay, and therefore he actually does best to surrender to Krishna. So instead of paying back so many debts, it's so simple. Just surrender to Krishna. That takes care of everything else. And here, therefore, Krishna is telling Arjun that he is indicating, first time probably in the Gita till now, that fight for my sake. Fight because I am telling you to fight. That is the highest motivation for anyone to do anything. That's all for today. Let's meet up with this wonderful journey next sloka, which is going to reveal so much more to us about Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. Chant Hare Krishna and always be happy.